For this computer. All right, greatest of evenings, everyone. I am getting ready to do an impromptu workshop like I am notorious, infamous for doing so. So I'm going to be live streaming on Facebook. We're going to go ahead and get this started. And I want for everyone to have a look and see some very interesting information. So, landlords, the landlord alternative. We'll be sharing this on my timeline. We're gonna make this public and let's go ahead and get this started. So this workshop is going to be dedicated to showing a real life scenario. So I have so many clients. Our firm has just so many clients. I cannot begin to tell you how many clients our firm has who are landlords. And we have a lot of landlords because our demographic of clientele consistently for a long time, we've been told that the pathway to wealth is through property ownership. And more specifically, the pathway to wealth is by owning rental properties. So I'm going to adjust this and make it so where it is hopefully public. Again, for the life of me, I cannot understand why it is that I cannot get this to go public, but let me see if I can switch it and edit the post. Gonna make settings, viewer, live tab. Man, if anybody knows how to make it to where that the stream is public, please share that with me. Interaction. But all right, let's go ahead and get it started. So a lot of our clients have been told that the pathway to wealth is through property ownership. And that property ownership looks like they need to purchase multiple rental properties. And then with those multiple rental properties, they then essentially need to rent those properties out. Well, there's a major issue with that, and I'm going to show exactly what it is and the reason why it is that it's something that for many of us, we've just been kind of sold a dream. And that dream looks like where you have all of these properties, and I have some clients who have 8, 9, and 10 rental properties. And then what that looks like with those rental properties is each and every month they are navigating that space where they're just consistently kind of in a rat race. So you got the income coming in, but then you've got the overhead, you've got a mortgage payment, or you have property taxes, you have maintenance. So I want everybody to look and see exactly what it looks like in terms of an opportunity which exists. And these are real numbers. So this is an individual who had a rental property. And it's not just an individual, it's me. I had this rental property, and the reason I had this rental property was because I um, the first home that I purchased in South Holland, Illinois, when I purchased that property, got it and fantastic home. But then, like most homeowners, decided to start increasing or improving. So went and got a property in Lansing and then went and got a property in Monique. So in the grand scheme of things, had three properties. Well, once I learned about the incredible power of investing via the market, I then said, hey, I want to get out of this game. As a landlord, on average, I was probably clearing, let's just say, let's use a number $400 a month. So $400 a month over the course of a year equal $4,800. So by having this rental property that was in South Holland, I was making $400 a month in passive income. And thankfully, it was passive because my tenant was a phenomenal tenant. It was the contractor who actually did the work and does the work for a lot of the properties. But I say passive tongue in cheek because anybody who's ever been a landlord understands that it's not passive. It is a very active responsibility that you have to do typically on a daily, if not a weekly basis. So had this rental property in South Holland, Illinois, at the end of the year was clearing $4,800. Well, I had all of this equity that was tied up in the property because even though there was a mortgage, the value of the property was substantially more than what the mortgage is. Well, in this scenario, last Friday, thankfully, after 6 months, almost 6 months to the day of listing the property, finally sold the property. And that's another story where I had to pay all of the utilities, the homeowner's insurance, which reminds me I got to cancel it. I had to pay the uh, property taxes, all of the maintenance, had to pay Mr. Pringle to cut the grass. All of these expenses I had to pay, even though no one was in the property. I had to get the tenant out in order to be able to sell the property. So 6 months goes by, all of these funds I've paid. Well, finally, at the end of the rainbow, the pot of gold resulted in an amount of $126,118.37. Now, I'm giving you a real life scenario. Like I mentioned, this is my real life scenario. Had a rental property, sold it, got $126,118.37. Now, in that scenario, what you do, or what I'm going to do, and what it is that I would have done had I sold this property back in November of 2024, is I take the entire balance and then that amount gets invested. This is a perfect time for me to point out I am not a financial planner. I am not credentialed. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I don't care what y'all do with it. My goal and my job, my purpose in life is to educate, and that's to share information that I've learned. So I'm sharing this real life information. Now, we've got this $126,118.37. And I got to shout out Mr. Williamson. Shout out to Terrence Williamson, who has created this Excel spreadsheet, which is incredible. I'm going to be debuting it at the upcoming Knowledge Movement, which is the second Sunday in July. And it's free and open to the public. And once I get the permission and sign off from him, we're going to make this available to anybody who wants it. But this is the most incredible tool that I've gotten and seen because it does all the computations for you, easy as cake, and allows you to see exactly what it is that the potential exists. So take the $126,118.37. And then on November 1st of 2024, PLTY, which is the high yield dividend ETF that has the underlying stock of Palantir, it was trading for $49.62. That resulted in the acquisition of 2,541.68 shares. With a platform like Robinhood and a variety of others, you can purchase what are called fractional shares. So you can get the 0.68 shares. Well, in the month of November, and I want everybody to know this information is all public. So it's not like I have a special magic 8 ball and I'm grabbing this information from somewhere special. You just go right to the internet. Go to Google and you type in PLTY dividend history. And once you do so, it's going to bring up the history of dividends. So going back on November 7th of 2024, the dividend payout was $2.2011. Well, that meant that on November 8th, here's the payout. You see it right there. That payout translated to $5,591.71. So I'm going to switch back over to the Excel spreadsheet so that everybody can see this math and this computation. And I'm going to go ahead and supersize this so we have it fill up the entire page. And then let me zoom in a bit because these are the real numbers. And again, I'm not trying to convince anybody about anything. I don't care what you guys wish to do with your money. I simply want for all of those people who I constantly run into who are landlords and they're saying to themselves, "Oh, I gotta get 8 more doors and I gotta increase my portfolio of real estate." Again, here's the real life numbers. The real estate, I was renting it, and could I have charged the tenant more? Absolutely. But let's say that I charged the tenant an extra $800. One, he might not have been able to pay, but let's say he did, then I'm still looking at $1,200 a month that I'm clearing. And then that translates to 12,000 is 10 months plus another 2,400. We put that on top of the 12, and then that's 14,600. So that's what we were talking about in a year's time. Well, in the first month, Not even the first month. November 1st, you purchase the shares. November 7th, you get paid out. And you get paid out $5,591.71 right out the gates. Boom. Put the money in, and then a week later, a week to the day later, you're getting paid 5,600, 5,591. It would have taken 5 months to accumulate that amount as a payout. So, just like with the property, well, oftentimes you're just pouring that money back in. It's recirculating. You're not keeping it. But let's say you do. Go ahead and keep the 1200 and now put that back in. But in this scenario, because I wasn't actually taking any money out, it's not like I was keeping that $400. So in this scenario, what I do is I take the full $5,591.71 and I purchase more shares. That's what's so dope about this Excel spreadsheet that Mr. Williamson hooked us up with, because I can then just go find out what the amount is that the new share price was. And again, that's just on the internet. I use Yahoo Finance. I like Yahoo Finance because you can look at the share price at any time throughout the day, going all the way back 5 years. So you can see exactly what it was. I'm using the closing number for the next day. So on November 11th, because you get the dividends get paid into your account. Once they hit your account, now you can go and you can purchase more. Thankfully, with Robinhood, you can do after market or after hours trading. But let's say we wait until the next day, next trading day, and then we actually wait until close. So right before it closes, because what I found is that oftentimes the price is lower than what it opened at. So because of that, you purchase those shares. So now we take the $5,591.71 and we use that to purchase more shares. On November 11th, 2024, the share price closed that day at $60.85, which means that you acquired 91.89 new shares. We add that to your existing share count, which then results in a new share amount of 2,633.58. In the month of December 6th, the dividend payout was $3.34, so 3.3475. That yielded a dividend payout of $8,815.90. These are real numbers, guys. I'm not coming up with some pie in the sky. I'm not talking speculative. These were the numbers that occurred already. It does not mean these numbers will occur in the future. I'm simply showing what it looks like in terms of real numbers. Somebody sells a property. From that property, they get $126,118.37. They then take that money and they purchase PLTY. In the first 2 months, they got dividend checks of $5,591.71, $8,815.90. Now, I'm not going to bore you by going through each and every month. These are the numbers. You can cross-reference these numbers online, go to Yahoo Finance, go to stock analysis, and you can see it. But we continue to go through this cycle. So we started November 1st, and now we get all the way to June 30th. So we're at June 30th of 2025, and we now have a total share count of 4,591.77 shares. So now all we're going to do is we're going to check to see what is PLTY currently trading for at this exact moment. And that's super easy to find out. Again, you just go right to the internet, go to Google, and I'm going to switch up and share that. So I'm going to go to share, and you can just go to stock analysis, or you could go to Yahoo Finance. You can go wherever. You can go to Google. You can go to any number. You can go into your actual brokerage account app. But right now, in after hours trading, according to this, PLTY is currently trading for $64.25. Perfect. So that's all we need to know. So we know how much is currently trading for, $64.25. And now let's go back and look at our total share count. And I want to once again remind everyone, this was simply by taking the funds that you already got and then just let them circulate. You didn't add another dollar of your own money. You just did the same thing you were doing with the rental property. It's sitting there. It's not you're not liquefying it in terms of taking the assets and then you spending it regularly. It's sitting there. The tenant pays you, you use the money to pay the property taxes, the mortgage, and all of the other responsibilities associated with it, and then that's it. In this case, there is no tenant. You don't have to worry about collecting rent. You don't have to worry about homeowners insurance. You don't have to worry about the property taxes going up. The money is just growing and growing. You're taking it and you're recirculating it. Well, at the end of November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, at the end of 8 months, so 75% of a year, all we're now going to do is we're going to take 4,591.77 and we're going to multiply that by the $64.25. Well, I've already done it, so I'm going to go ahead and share my calculator so that everybody can see what it looks like. But this is what you're talking about. So 4,591.77 shares times $64.25 equals a new portfolio value in the amount of $295,021.22. That's the kind of growth that you're talking about. Now, I want to stress to individuals, had someone have just taken that same amount, the 126, 118.37, and invested it all in Palantir, PLTR, the actual stock, they'd have a whole lot more money. It would probably be double, if not triple of this. But for the individuals who like rental properties because they like that monthly income coming in, this is an opportunity which is not only comparable, but beats the pants off of it. Because instead of me seeing $400 a month in terms of income, there wasn't a single month which was less than the lowest month was 5,500. The original 5,591 that I started with. That in that first month, it went to 88, 99, 87, 18,000, 17,000, 17,000, 27,000, and the most recent month of 14,000. Even in a down month, you're talking about $14,000. Because it's income, there's tax liability. It's important you understand that. If you have a business, then at which point a lot of this can be handled as a part of the business. But I've never heard a single person ever go to somebody who got a rental property and say, well, what about the taxes? Nobody ever does that. So why do we do that when it comes time to getting free money without having to do anything? I'll tell you why. It's the negative mentality of this thing is good, so I gotta find a way to knock it down a notch. So that way people don't feel like they are living the dream. But I promise you, there's nothing anybody could say to me that would make me say, "Oh, I got to pay taxes on this free money that I didn't have to do anything to get." Nah, I'm not going to. There's no way. Yes, yes, I'll pay taxes. I will happily, like Mark Cuban said, it's my patriotic duty to pay those taxes. And I got no qualms about doing so because of the fact that it was free money, as I like to refer to it, my reparations. So $295,021.22 is now the current value of the portfolio. If this property owner wants, they can just sell it. They can sell all of their shares and get the 295. It's liquid. But in my opinion, why would you do that? Because next month you're going to get another check. Every single month you're going to get a check. Now, a lot of people say, well, how long is this going to be around? Well, in my opinion, it'll be around for as long as Palantir's around. So there's a good chance for quite a while. But as an alternative, one of the things you can do is you can take your dividends and then invest them in a different exchange trading fund. SPY, QQQ, SCHD. The acronyms are perpetual, SMH. They just go on and on and on. You can also invest in growth stocks. So right now there are several growth stocks. There are Direxion funds that are available. There's a litany of different options that exist. The thing is most of us have never been explained or educated about this, and that's the reason why I do those knowledge movements. Now, there are a lot of people who say, well, what are you doing talking about financials when you're an attorney and you're an estate plan attorney? Well, the estate planning is not just for when you die, it's for you. Right now, with the recent sale of the property, as well as the other portfolio that I've built up, it potentially is going to generate over $1 million worth of income annually. And that's in year one. Well, by taking this reinvestment approach and utilizing another opportunity, which is known as margin, in year two, it could exceed $3 million in income. In year three, it could exceed $10 million in income. So, one of the reasons why I talk about it and I share it is because it has changed and transformed my life. I am now going on pace to retire for my 44th birthday, which is October 29th of 2025. This is something in which lots of people have the opportunity to take advantage of because just like I had a rental property, I can right now name more than 10 people off the top of my head who have multiple rental properties. And I'm not telling you you need to go out and sell. I'm just sharing with you information. So I'm now going to pause. I'm going to cut it here. Not going to take any questions. If you got questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. Once I get an opportunity, it come to the knowledge movement. But one of the things that I cannot stress is that the information is there. Every time I share this with a new group of people, they always say they don't want us to know about it. And I say, who's they? Because there was nobody stopping me from learning about it. It was simply a matter of I had to say I wanted to go and learn about it. And shout out to JP because he was very helpful in pushing me to go and be curious about it. But that's what you need. Expand your circle, change the people that you're running with, because if they're not having these conversations, then they are the ones who are keeping it from you, because those are the people that you're spending your time around. So, furthermore, once you learn about this, you have an obligation. So, I want to, right now, I'm rocking a shirt that says, Awesome like my daughter. And that's important because I want for my daughter to know all this information every time I go through this, even before I hop on a Zoom, Facebook Live. I make sure to sit down and discuss it with her. That's where we need to get. We need to be having weekly conversations with our children, with our siblings, with our cousins, our aunts, our uncles, explaining to them about this opportunity because there's no point in us becoming millionaires and then them just looking saying, hey, where's my million? Your million is the same place that my million is. You just got to go through the process. So hopefully I'll see everybody the second Sunday in July. We're going to be at Unity Christian Academy, 700 East 170th Street in South Holland, Illinois, 60473. And that's from 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's free and open to the public. We're going to talk about trust. We're going to talk about wills. We're going to talk about estate planning. We're going to talk about brokerage accounts. We're going to talk about listing your trust as the beneficiary for your brokerage account or opening up the brokerage account in the name of your trust. We're going to talk about Direxion funds, 2X's. We're going to talk about leverage. We're going to talk about PLTY. And I'm not interested in selling you anything. My goal is to educate, to elevate. As the great W.E.B. Du Bois said, we have a responsibility. Educate to elevate. Elaine Locke talked about the talented 10. Once the best of a certain demographic does well, you're supposed to reach back and help pull everybody up as well. That is my commitment. That is my obligation. That is my purpose. And my hope is that anybody who's interested in going will come. But like Harriet Tubman said, freed 1,000 slaves, but I could have freed 1,000 more if they would have known that they were slaves. All right, food's here. I gotta go. Hello?